Hey yo, hey yo, what am? So, wanted to hop on here. Oh no, now my dog's gonna freak out with the AOs. I'm gonna close the door. Guess it was too hot in here for him. I don't blame him. It's burning up. Anyways, wanted to hop on here real quick and explain kind of what I'm trying to juggle right now with this first deal here. With the videos that I've been making on this first deal here. For those who don't know, this is actually my fourth agreement that I've gotten signatures on. This is the first one that's seemed very promising. The others that I got locked it up too high. Tenant wasn't being cooperative, wasn't allowing us access to the property for walkthroughs. In one case, the seller kind of lied about the condition of the property. We got it under agreement. And then only once we walked the property to take pictures, realized that it was not at all what the seller described. But anyways, this is the agreement where I'm feeling really confident on. Everybody's on board. Seller's excited. His daughter lives in the property, though. So he's an absentee owner. His daughter lives in the property. He lives about a 4-hour drive north. So I'm having to juggle a lot of things. She works the graveyard shift. So the opportunity to get in there is kind of limited because she sleeps during the day. So there's a small window of time either in the morning when she gets back from work where she'll just stay awake before she goes to sleep to allow us to walk in. That's what's happening tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. She'll get back from work at like 8 or 9 a.m. and then she's just going to stay awake, allow us to walk the property for our cash buyer walkthrough tomorrow morning at 10. And then after we leave, she's going to, hit the hay. But that's kind of, again, what I'm juggling. And her living in the property, she is willing to move. A little bit more context here. The house will be foreclosed on. They've fallen behind on their mortgage payments. The daughter has been unable to keep up financially. So she's already kind of been under this assumption that she's going to have to leave. And she's already had the conversation with her father, like, hey, if you can't pay, like, I can't just have you staying there for free. They're going to take the house. So she's already known. She just didn't know how soon it was going to be. And then when I called, she's like, oh, damn, like I didn't realize how quickly this was going to happen. So I'm trying to make it as smooth and convenient for her as possible. And one way that I have kind of positioned myself in order to do that is to get her in contact with a realtor in the area so that they can present her options. She's let me know that she's in the process of fixing her credit. Whether that means she's actually with a credit repair person or company, I don't know. It could just be code for my credit shit. Again, I don't really know. And she's not obviously in the best financial situation because she's unable to pay the mortgage down at the place that she's currently in. So I don't have the experience or knowledge to like be extracting this information from her. Like, okay, well, what's your budget? What's your income? What's your income to debt ratio? Like all that. I wouldn't even know what to do with it even if she knew all that information. I wouldn't have anything to do with it. A realtor, on the other hand, would know, okay, this is what your budget is. This is what, again, your debt to income ratio. This is how much you can really afford to pay. And then they can also weigh out the options of how bad is your credit really, and would we be able to put you up into something to purchase a home or a condo or whatever, or is renting really the best route for you? I personally think that renting is probably the best route for her, just so that she doesn't have to be put in a situation like this again, where she's, falling behind in payments. She has a 15-year-old son, so she will need a bit of space. But again, I'm really just wanting to pass that off to a realtor as the expert to allow them to facilitate that and coordinate that on my behalf. And so that's what I'm doing now. I've reached out to a bunch of people on Facebook. At one point in time, in one of my previous agreements, I had put so I'll start really from square one. Right when I chose my virtual market, I made a point of going through all of the investor groups, adding myself to all these groups, trying to become as intimate as possible with the area, and also sending friend requests to anybody who seemed like they were a part of the real estate industry in my virtual market, uh, be it realtors, contractors, investors, wholesalers, um, landlord, all these people, anybody who I've seen be somewhat active in these groups, adding them as friends. And I was trying to just hit the max. The max on Facebook is 5,000 friends. And in the past, I heard somebody, when I used to be interested in digital marketing, I'm still interested in digital marketing, but when I tried to pursue that, I heard somebody say, if you don't have 5,000 friends at all times on Facebook, you're missing out on opportunity for networking, right? So I'm not all the way to 5,000. I'm at like 4,500, but um, I did that so that at any point in time, I could just post to my own feed and have all my friends see it. So that's what I did. On a previous agreement that I had, it was owner occupied, and I needed help with relocating them to another place. So I posted something to my Facebook explaining that, hey, I need help, purchasing an owner occupied property, and they need help relocating. And I had about 30, 40 realtors respond to that. So what I did right now was go back. I've met a few people, but if you watch my previous video, I talk about how I ended up linking up with the first person who responded to that. She's a really nice lady, but I just don't think that she was really familiar with what I'm trying to do as a wholesaler. So she got to saying silly things to the seller that scared them away, and that was really the reason why that deal fell through there. So I kind of parted ways with her, just because it wasn't going to work. She was very traditional, retail oriented, and didn't understand the nitty gritty, the details and concepts of what I was trying to do as a wholesaler. And kind of the things to avoid talking about. It may not seem important, but it's almost as important as saying the right things. What I really need from the realtor who's going to be communicating with my owner occupied sellers is to kind of withhold saying certain things as well. So just to put it into context, she was saying things like, "Oh, he lives in California. Like, he doesn't live in Houston." Like, and talking about what my plans were for the property. He's probably going to flip it and make money, and they already knew that. But just to hear somebody face to face tell them that, it's not the best thing to hear, right? And then she outright said that I wasn't going to be the one who bought the property. It was going to be somebody else, and that I was essentially brokering it. And that's what did it for them. They're like, "Oh, forget it." Like, they just felt taken advantage of, and I completely understand them. So again, I parted ways with that realtor. So right now, I went back through that post to try to get a hold of another realtor so that I can just establish another relationship, another working relationship where it's beneficial for everybody. I have kind of been talking back and forth and tossing some of my retail leads to one realtor, but in this particular case where I'm needing her to find a place to rent, I knew it was going to be kind of a specific realtor that would be willing to do this, because I'm honestly not sure how a realtor would be compensated in this situation. It would either be from the seller, or I'm sorry, the tenant, in this case, the daughter, me, which I'm fine with doing, but it would only be after I actually close on the property, and get my assignment fee. Or what I've read into is that a lot of times property management companies will offer incentives to new tenants, like in apartment buildings, like, 1 month free rent if you sign a lease before the end of the month. And what I've gathered is if a realtor connects this property management company with a possible tenant, and then the tenant ends up moving in, they just pass that benefit on to the realtor. So as opposed to the tenant getting a 1 month free rent, that 1 month of rent just gets paid out to the realtor. So that's one way that I saw it could happen. I'm honestly not sure. I haven't. So, but anyways, I talked with this guy right now. So he's planning on. He sounds like he'll be able to help. Sounds like he knows what he's doing. The reason why I'm kind of parting ways with the other guy who I've been tossing my leads to is I had gone to ask him, like, I just want to be sure that you're taken care of. How do you think you'll be compensated in this type of a transaction? And he said, honestly, I don't know. And that kind of turned me off. I appreciate his honesty, but I'm not looking to like learn. They say like you always want to be surrounding yourself with people who you who you can like reach up and look up to and gain something from them, right? I want the people who I'm talking to have more knowledge than me. Um, it may sound like a little like ironic or odd because a lot of people like to be the most knowledgeable person in the room, but I would prefer to be the least knowledgeable person in the room, as long as that room is filled with people who are willing to share that knowledge. Because on the other hand, there's a lot of people, always going to be a bunch of people who know more than you but feel like they don't want to share that knowledge, right? So I'm looking to get in contact with a realtor who's established in the area, knows what they're doing, and isn't going to put up a fuss about me trying to like wholesale or do anything like that. So they also have experience with working with an investor at least, but ideally a wholesaler. So this guy, I hit it. We're hitting it off. We planned. He plans to reach out to the tenant on Monday. So that gives me a few days to coordinate that with her and just let her know to be expecting his call. And now I'm also kind of posed it to him where I'd love to see what type of a working relationship we can establish moving forward, because I let him know quite often I come across a bunch of leads while cold calling that are interested in selling retail and that their properties are, in better condition and want to get top dollar for their property. And he right off the bat proposed a 25% kickback referral fee for myself for any closed transaction. I don't know. I don't know what's typical, to be honest. That sounds good to me, but let me know if you watch this and that's something that you kind of implement in your business practices. Let me know what is a typical kickback, typical referral fee. Um, do you get a percentage like this guy is proposing? Do you get just a flat fee, flat rate, like $1,000, $2,000 for every closed transaction? Let me know if you're watching this and that's something that you implement and exercise in your business model. Let me know what you think or what you are typically working with in your realtor. But yeah, he proposed 25%, and just some other things that I've realized or learned, could be beneficial. There's just so many ways, right? So once I start kicking him retail leads and he starts closing on deals, that's money for him and money for me for the kickback. Also, he likely has a much more intimate understanding of values in the area, which is huge. So once I start giving him some value, I don't want to just be taking and taking and taking from him and asking him to provide value to me without first giving him something. So once I start kicking him some retail leads, maybe once we start closing some deals, I'm going to be sure to start, consulting him on like appraisals of properties, of subject properties that I'm looking to wholesale. What do you think the ARV is going to be on this one once it's all fixed up? What's the activity like in this area? Do you find that like a lot of investors are buying in this area? Like, do you have, and that's another thing, like he may work specifically with some fix and flippers where I can just bring him the agreements that I get, right? So a lot of realtors work specifically with fix and flippers, and they're willing to just pass your deal along for free, right? So let's just say for this house, hey, I got a property, I got an agreement on this property on this street. Here's my numbers. Let me know what you're thinking on those numbers. I'd love to know your opinion on that. And I'd love if you could pass this along to any of your fix and flippers. And what they are willing to do, what I've gathered and what I've learned through my own education, is they're willing to just pass that along for free and give it to their buyers and kind of push them and nudge them into buying the property, because what's going to happen is they're going to buy it, they're going to fix it up, and then they're going to go straight back to the realtor who gave them that deal and ask them to list it on market. So the realtor won't necessarily get anything up front, but he secures a listing on the back end and is going to get that commission on the back end. That's one thing. I mean, and then another, with just his own prospecting tactics and methods, whatever he's doing, let's say he's cold calling too. If he cold calls and he comes across somebody who's interested in selling, but it's just the complete opposite, right? He's looking for retail leads. I'm looking for properties that need love. If I come across properties that will kind of qualify for a retail listing, I'll kick it to him. If he comes across properties that wouldn't do well on market and likely would need to go to an investor, he can kick that to me to see if I can arrange something and the numbers would work for me, right? So that's another way where we can kind of have this mutually beneficial arrangement where I'm just, anything retail, anything in the realm of retail, I'm providing to him, and anything in the realm where it's going to fall into an investor's hands, anyways, he gives that to me. And I'm sure I'm missing plenty of. I know people will use realtors for their boots on the ground, their runners, because again, they can go meet with the sellers, and they already have that experience of seller appointments. Meeting face to face and locking up agreements. They're used to getting listing agreements or buyer's agreements to represent them as a buyer, but it's all the same, really. And I've heard people offering, a kickback for that. Like if you go out there and get the signature, I'll give you 10% of the proceeds once we close, or of the assignment fee once we close on it. And then just again being able to send somebody out there with expertise that knows what they're talking about, as opposed to just a random person on Craigslist who's willing to go take pictures for $50, right? I would much rather have a realtor get out there for free. Again, I haven't really gone to the point of this conversation with this gentleman because I just met him a minute ago, but based off of my understanding of what I've heard other people talking about, realtors are willing to do that upfront work, knowing that commission is waiting for them on the back end. So just a couple things. Wanted to kind of share that as well, because that's something that I'm in kind of in the middle of right now, is jumping around from realtor to realtor. I have a few more people who have responded to me, realtors that are interested, because I blasted it out, kind of the same message to 5 or 6 people. This gentleman seems like he's established. His Facebook this is something that I look at. His Facebook is tailored towards his real estate business, which is good in my eyes, right? He's taken the time to really brand himself as a realtor and a go-to person in the market to, for real estate help. So I'm going to, continue conversating with him before I start entertaining like any other realtors, because really what I want is a mutually exclusive beneficial agreement between, me and one other realtor. And my hopes would be that they would do the same thing, right? And not shop their off-market deals to all their investors, rather just bring it to me because they're confident that I'll be able to deliver. And that's really my focus and my goal in establishing this relationship, is to not even under promise and over deliver, but I just want to over deliver. I don't want to make any real promises, right? I want to show up the best I can and prove to him that I'm worth his time, prove to him that, this isn't just like mumbo jumbo, me, hey, because I'm sure every day realtors in the area get contacted by wholesalers proposing this exact type of thing. But again, like I said in the beginning of this, I want to lead with value. I want to be bringing him leads before I even ask for anything in return, and that's really where I'm at with it. I want to show out for him, and I want to let him know that, I'm not one to play with, and I'm one, if anything, to be bringing his business to, because he can do it with confidence, knowing that I'll be able to deliver results. So again, just wanted to hop on real quick. Ended up being a longer video. I don't make a habit of coming on here and just kind of speaking my mind, although that's exactly what I do when I'm usually in the middle of doing something else, like dialing or talking to somebody. But in this case, it was something kind of unique and different that I'm dealing with right now in terms of building that realtor relationship. So just wanted to kind of hop on here and provide any insight that I do have on that. So appreciate you. If you're, tuning in for the first time, or if you're returning, I appreciate you regardless. If this type of content is something that you're interested in, I would definitely appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, any way that you want to show support would be much appreciated. I plan on hopping on here at pretty much every day and just kind of going live and documenting my process, cold calling, speaking with buyers, talking with realtors, negotiating, closing up deals, all of that. So if it is something that you're interested in seeing and kind of tracking my progress and my journey alongside me, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. Forget that one, the notification bell. You got to do that too. But until next time, appreciate you guys. Peace.